Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're stepping back in time, celebrating 5 watches that either define the golden age of affordable watchmaking or honor that era with such faithful reverence that the distinction barely matters. These are timepieces with stories, with cultural weight, with the kind of design confidence that only emerges when manufacturers stop worrying about trends and start listening to what good watchmaking actually requires. From the humblest entry-level automatic that launched 1,000 collections to a Swiss heritage piece of genuine historical significance, these 5 picks celebrate the past while making a compelling case for why it still matters profoundly in the present. Let's get into it. Number 5. Seiko 5 SNK 803. The Seiko 5 SNK 803 is the watch that has introduced more people to mechanical watchmaking than perhaps any other timepiece in history, a bold claim that the sales figures, the forum recommendation threads, and the sheer ubiquity of this watch in first collection discussions around the world support with quiet, overwhelming consistency. At a price that genuinely challenges the assumption that mechanical watchmaking requires meaningful financial sacrifice, the SNK 803 delivers a genuine automatic movement, a day-date complication displaying both day and date through twin apertures on a dial of honest military-inspired legibility, and a 37mm case of vintage-appropriate proportion that wears with a lightness and intimacy that larger modern watches cannot replicate. The Seiko 7S26 movement inside is not the most accurate caliber Seiko has ever produced. The absence of hand-winding and hacking reflects the cost disciplines that the SNK 803's price point demands, but it is robust, long-lived, and entirely sufficient for the daily wear that this watch was always intended to provide. The canvas NATO strap on which the SNK 803 is most naturally worn transforms it from a modest budget watch into something with genuine field watch character and casual style that a bracelet or leather strap cannot quite capture. The SNK 803 is the gateway drug of mechanical watchmaking, the watch that makes people realize that a ticking automatic movement on their wrist changes something fundamental about how they relate to time itself, and that realization, once experienced, is impossible to unfeel. The Seiko 5 SNK 803 retails for approximately $65 or $85 USD. Number 4. Orient Bambino Classic. The Orient Bambino Classic is the dress watch that democratized formal wrist elegance so completely and so honestly that it permanently altered the terms on which affordable dress watches are evaluated. A watch whose combination of domed crystal warmth, classical dial composition, and in-house mechanical movement at an almost implausibly fair price established a standard that the category is still measured against years after the Bambino first appeared. The classic iteration of the Bambino reaches furthest into Orient's vintage design vocabulary, presenting a case and dial composition of mid-century Japanese watchmaking elegance that carries genuine period character rather than manufactured retro affectation. The domed mineral crystal is the Bambino Classic's most immediately distinctive and most emotionally resonant design element, curving above the dial with a vintage warmth that flat sapphire crystals at any price cannot replicate, catching light with a gentle, rounded softness that makes the dial beneath it glow rather than simply reflect. Orient's in-house caliber F6724 provides hand-winding and hacking functionality that Swiss competitors at this price frequently withhold, and the 40-hour power reserve performs adequately across the formal occasions for which the Bambino Classic is most naturally suited. The white or cream dial with its Roman numeral indices and blued steel hands composes a scene of classical Japanese dress watch beauty that rewards the wearer's own close attention and earns consistent admiration from everyone else. At its price, the Bambino Classic is not merely a good watch, it is an argument that genuine elegance has always been accessible to anyone willing to look in the right places. The Orient Bambino Classic retails for approximately $100 $140 USD. Number 3. Citizen Bullhead Chronograph. The Citizen Bullhead Chronograph is one of the most visually audacious and most culturally significant watches that Japanese watchmaking produced during the extraordinary creative ferment of the 1970s. A timepiece whose inverted crown and pusher architecture, bold case geometry, An unapologetically dramatic dial design place it among the most distinctive and most collectible references from an era when watchmakers on both sides of the globe were experimenting with form and function in ways that the industry's subsequent conservatism has never quite replicated. The Bullhead's defining characteristic is its unusual case orientation. The crown and chronograph pushers are positioned at the 12 o'clock end of the case rather than the conventional 3 o'clock position, giving the watch a dramatically different wrist presence and a top crown silhouette that immediately and unmistakably identifies it from any angle. This architecture earned it the Bullhead nickname from the collecting community, a reference to the horn-like pusher arrangement at the case top that the design produces, and that nickname has proven as enduring as the watch's appeal itself. Modern reissues of the Bullhead have brought this iconic design to a new generation of collectors with contemporary movement quality and improved finishing consistency, allowing the watch's extraordinary visual personality to be experienced without the condition anxiety and premium pricing of the original vintage market. The Bullhead Chronograph is the watch for the collector who believes that the 1970s produced design ideas that the mainstream never fully appreciated and that deserve a permanent place on modern wrists, and that belief, in this particular case, is entirely vindicated. The Citizen Bullhead Chronograph retails for approximately $350–500 USD for modern reissue versions. Number 2. Seiko 6139 Pogue. The Seiko 6139 Pogue is a watch that carries a piece of genuine human history on its dial. A timepiece that traveled beyond the atmosphere, circled the Earth at 17,000 miles per hour, and returned to tell the story of what Japanese watchmaking was capable of at the precise moment when its Swiss counterparts were struggling to survive the first tremors of the quartz revolution. Colonel William Pogue wore his personal Seiko 6139 aboard Skylab 4 in 1973, making it the first automatic chronograph worn in space, an achievement that no marketing campaign could have scripted and no amount of advertising spending could have purchased, because it happened organically, through the genuine preference of an astronaut who trusted his Seiko to perform in the most demanding environment a timepiece has ever been asked to enter. The 6139 movement that powered Pogue's watch was itself a landmark, one of the first automatic chronograph calibers ever produced, beating the Swiss automatic chronograph to market in a development race whose outcome surprised an industry that had assumed Japanese manufacturing was following rather than leading. The yellow dial of the most famous Pogue reference, a color that period photography from Skylab has immortalized in collector consciousness, carries a warmth and period authenticity that modern reissues struggle to replicate despite their technical advantages. Vintage examples in honest, unrestored condition command premiums that reflect not just collector demand but genuine historical significance. This is a watch that went to waste on a human wrist, and that fact changes everything about how it is held and how it should be valued. The Seiko 6139 Pogue is available pre-owned for approximately $300, $800 USD depending on reference, condition, and originality. Number 1. Longines Conquest Heritage. The Longines Conquest Heritage takes the top position on today's list because it represents the fullest and most satisfying realization of what a heritage reissue can achieve when a manufacturer with genuine historical depth, real archival resources, and sufficient design discipline approaches the project with complete seriousness, producing not a nostalgic approximation of a beloved past reference, but a faithful, meticulous, and thoroughly considered translation of that reference into a contemporary object of outstanding quality and lasting appeal. The Conquest name has carried Longines' precision ambitions since the mid-20th century, when conquest movements were winning observatory precision competitions across Europe and establishing the accuracy credentials that the brand's reputation for exactitude is built upon. The Heritage Edition draws directly on those Golden Age references, the cushion case profiles, the warm dial tones, the applied index styles, the overall sense of a watch designed during an era when Swiss watchmaking was operating at the height of its creative and technical confidence, and reproduces them with archival fidelity that reflects Longines' access to its own extraordinary heritage documentation. The L836.5 high-beat automatic movement inside oscillates at 25,200 vibrations per hour, delivering a second's hand of smooth, deliberate sweep that period-correct movements produced, and that the Heritage Edition honors without resorting to modern high-frequency solutions that would compromise the vintage character of the overall experience. The case finishing, alternating brushed and polished surfaces resolved with the tightness of tolerance that Longines' position within the swatch group enables, presents a quality of surface treatment that the original references could only approximate with the manufacturing technology available to them. On a leather strap of appropriate vintage character, the Longines Conquest Heritage is a watch that wears history without being imprisoned by it, alive to the present moment, connected to an extraordinary past, and confident enough in both to need nothing else. The Longines Conquest Heritage retails for approximately $1,850 to $1,200 USD depending on configuration.